was the last time that you tried something totally new just for your health? Welcome, friends, and welcome to Immersive Wellness with Jacqueline. My name is Jacqueline Drake, and I'm the Director of Creative and Immersive Therapies at the Drake Center. And today's guest today, I'm so excited because his journey really speaks to the heart of what we do at the Drake Center. He first came to the Drake Center for life coaching, which is a kind of support that I offer, which blends mind, body, and creativity. And so people come to me often when they're feeling stuck or just feeling just not physically or emotionally well. And so my guest today embraces all of this process. And through our work together, including immersive therapies and virtual reality fitness, he discovered new ways to move and to think and even create. His transformation has really been nothing short of I would say, inspiring to many. And I'm honored to share his story with you today. And so welcome, friends. And I'd like to introduce my guest today is Chris. So welcome, Chris, to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Very, very excited. Happy to be here.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, every time you put me in a chair, something happens.
Something magical, right?
So, yeah. And I do remember the first time you put me in a chair. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, wonderful. And I'm so glad that you sought us out when you were feeling a little bit, maybe just not, I call it unbalanced, you know. And a lot of the life coaching that I talk about too is really, people come to us for feeling not well either in the mindset and maybe not feeling well in the body. And then for me, of course, it's the creativity. And if you are a creative, like I know you are, and if we're not feeling creative, well, that's kind of making us feel down too, right? And so having that creative spark again it makes everything, for me, balanced, right?
Yeah,
mind,
wonderful to renew it.
Yeah. So I am so excited that you came to us for that and came to me specifically for life coaching. And well, I can honestly say you have transformed incredibly. And, at the Drake Center, we always talk about butterflies, but you are completely a butterfly. So I can't wait to show our viewers today.
I got a dragonfly.
And you do have a dragonfly on. This is wonderful. Yeah. So it's absolutely incredible to watch you do this. And I think it's been about 2 years now that you've been.
By the way, my anniversary, 1,000,000 points.
Oh, yes. We'll talk about that too. My goodness. Yeah. So there's a lot that we're going to talk about today, and I'm so excited to have you. So can you maybe kind of start us off of when you came to us and came to me for some kind of the place that you were mentally and emotionally, where you wanted to just maybe, get a little help?
Yeah. I think, I had really always been attracted to, I think, transformation, and it always kind of inspired me. I think it started a long time ago with some yoga retreats. Okay. And you'd sit in a circle, and it seemed to, I see some transformation happening. And I also did a landmark forum, which is a 3-day offsite. And I saw how they applied process and technology to transformation and saw some really cool results for that. And I sort of got, wow, what if you could do this for a living and really maybe work with corporations to transform corporations and their cultures? So I really started a business called Line to Thrive, and we did that for years. And we have really cool technology, really cool assessment tools, and sort of defining your culture and stuff like that. So it's just been a long journey. Obviously, I'm very inspired by, what you do and all that. So, I'd done that and really done some great things and enjoyed that. But then I kind of sold the businesses, didn't do that for a while. So I'm a little bit, all of a sudden I'm in a different place, and it's the family is what, you're so involved in. And, that can be a few issues from time to time. Sure. So I think I was, going through a few things. And a crazy thing happened a mile from my house.
That's right.
I drove by.
You're a pretty local guy too. To our center. So yeah.
Yeah, I drove by the Transformation Center. And of course, the words and stuff, I'm always like, what is that? I saw the butterfly. I know what that means. Sure. So, I just kind of a nice little building and looked inside a little bit, beautiful art and that kind of thing. So there it was. And I think I walked through the door and I met you and we talked a little bit. And then I think, I decided to sort of work on some life coaching and move forward with some things. So that was a bit of a journey. And I think the first thing we did is I sat in the chair, which I was so thankful to have that sort of guidance to get into it instead of just sort of jumping in or coming from different ways.
Sure.
And sat in the chair, and I think we put the headset on and we did some meditation. Well, we did some meditation before that and then, put that on. And I was pretty blown away by where it could take you and how you could lift your spirits. And
just a few minutes, right?
Yeah. So it was really a phenomenal start, an incredible start. So that was pretty cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I loved it. I absolutely loved. I've actually loved watching you go through all of this and actually changing so much. This has been amazing. So back to when you first actually put the headset on. Tell me about your first experience using virtual reality. Now, this is something that, we use at our therapy. I use it for therapy. I use it for art therapy. I use it, to create with people in it. But I also use it for meditation quite a bit. And people come to me, of course, for mindset stuff, right? And mindfulness training and meditation. And I have tons of people that say, I can't meditate, or I've tried that stuff, and that it just doesn't make sense to me. And using this, I know when I first put it on you, you were like, whoa. So I would love to hear your your experience of that.
Yeah, it was a great experience, fantastic, just instantly within the first couple minutes of having the headset on. They kind of take you through some breath work, which I was familiar with, but they have different ones, box breathing, different kinds of breathing. And it was just like, wow, very relaxed. And like you're kind of going through, first you get calmed down and then your mood improves and you start, heading north, and it just felt great. And there was very soon after that you and I talked and we kind of did a bunch of things. We did some art, which I just did some a few days ago.
Yes,
so
I love that you're still creating,
So we did that. But then you kind of introduced me to the supernatural, which, has obviously been phenomenal.
Yeah. And you physically have changed so incredibly. It's been, like I said, amazing.
I can't wait for our viewers to see have a few people that say, oh, I didn't know you had a chest, so you get some good feedback along the way. So it's kind of nice.
But I absolutely love it. So back to the physical fitness part of it. That can we talk about how old you are also? Because I like to think of this workout as it's not strenuous, right? It's so much fun and it's so incredible. I mean, just the device itself, even for meditation, it's very easy to operate. And I always like to get people doing it on their own, once they come to me, and then we kind of develop some sort of relationship of even doing things inside of the headset together.
Right.
And that kind of just amplifies it all.
Right. So you did go to my birthday party.
Yes.
And it was a 70th birthday. And it wasn't that long ago, maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
So, probably 71. And it's,
and
I don't feel it. I don't feel it at all.
No, well, you certainly don't look it. You don't look it, friend. But yeah, so we started off with a little meditation, and then you kind of, I would say, danced our way literally. So I like to think of people when they start to feel better in their mindset and mind space, right? That, there's a little more space for other things. There's a little more space for maybe some movement in there or more creativity, right? Yeah. And so I think for you, it's just been beautiful to watch kind of just go through the whole thing. But the movement part, I know you really love that. And the music, of course, you're deeply into music. So
I think like anything, and before we did some of our therapy sessions, you have to set an intention. So you and I would do that, and like, what's going to happen? What's this all about? How can we take advantage of our time, our next couple hours together? What are we looking for in terms of kind of a result? So it's productive. So we were good at that, and It's very helpful too, even in supernatural, before you put the headset on. If you do kind of set an intention, I'm really going to move. I'm going to, stretch and all that kind of thing. We had a ball last night.
Oh, we did. And we'll have to show some of those pictures to our viewers.
Yeah.
Because there are ways that we can actually work out together and meditate together and create together, which is absolutely amazing. And I know that's something that my heart and soul is into all of this, because to me, all of it is art, right? How they created the whole thing. I don't get carried away into who makes it and who's running the metaverse at the moment.
Right.
I don't really pay attention to that as much as the immersive space itself and how it makes us feel in there, right? And that's why meditation, it's completely elevated in there and a whole new experience. Instead of closing your eyes, gently as you're, doing your belly breaths or whatever in a normal yoga session or a retreat, right? You are going inward. This is sometimes your eyes are open, you're actually seeing, and the technology, right? So you have actually you can actually see your breath work. Imagine that, right? So there's some programs even that we can put the controllers on our bellies and control the whole interface with our breath. And so it is to me, it's a magical experience, a different way of healing and a different mind and body connection, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff, and especially with our aging minds and our aging bodies, that there's this whole other thing that's happening. And I'm sure your family is probably like, what in the heck? Because you are probably like a ninja now to them.
Said that the other day.
You're a ninja.
Yeah, it's funny.
Because our hand and eye coordination with these exercises are so profound in the way it affects us so fast. There's my husband and my children actually make fun of me because I can just grab something out of the air and even a fly. And they're like, who are you, Yoda? So, but there's a lot of mind, hand and body, hand and eye coordination there too. So,
well, I think the thing that's really unique about it, and of course, it's great working with you because that everything keeps moving in a good direction, but it's so much different. We talked a little bit earlier about the gym, going to the gym, and it seems to not have a sense of community that you think it would. Everybody's sort of introspective. It's just not a great space for me. But the thing that I really like so much is the journey. It doesn't really have plateaus like any other kind of workout or things. There's plateaus, and you kind of, you're maybe there for a while, and you got to figure out how to get to the next step. So this type of thing that we're doing, there really isn't any plateaus. You start on your journey and you're going uphill, and there's really no stops. I think it is probably the technology and how it's been designed, but you can just keep right and going and get better and better and feel better. And it's once you're on that hill, going up, you really don't want to stop. I don't want to say I can't wait till this is over right now, but I am looking forward to because this is the time of day I do it. So
this is your workout time, right?
Yeah. So
I love that, Chris, because a lot of times I try to introduce this, especially the physical part to it, right, or even the meditation part, but virtual reality as a lifestyle. I tell people too, and actually on my YouTube channel and all sorts of things, on social media posts, I'll say, it's a lifestyle. It's not a race. It's not a game. This is something that you just do a little bit every day, and it helps you. It helps you in your mindset. It helps you feeling better. I mean, I know when I take off the headset, sometimes I'm just feeling like, wow, I am so empowered right now. I feel so strong. I feel calm. I feel actually centered and grounded. And the other part of how that really works on our mindset is it does make you calm. Similar to our treatments at the Drake Center, where it really brings you presence, right? The virtual reality can also do the same thing. It brings you really present. And a lot of times for anxiety and depression and even PTSD, we find our thoughts are way out there, right? They're usually so far in the future for our anxiety that, they're completely made up, really. And then our depression thoughts are so far in the past, completely made up, and we can't fix that anyways. So for me, bringing people into the present every time is so important, because it's really what's happening right now in the moment. And, everything else, we kind of get carried away in our mind space with that and bringing it. And so this just amplifies that presence to me. And then speaking of presence, we did work out together last night, and that was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of programs now where we can work out together. We can see each other in there. In fact, we can high five each other in there and communicate and dance. And, I've always think the whole thing is a dance anyway. So,
right.
But it's just a beautiful, fun thing to just do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I think works between us is I think we're all trying to step and get away from our minds a little bit and all the chatter and be able to, look at it, just, maybe check your intellect out a little bit and what's happening instead of just rolling with emotions all the time. You're able to really make some progress when you can step aside. And we've been good at that in our time together. So I think that's great. The other thing about the supernatural and this work is, in today's world, you do travel a little bit, and the portability of these things, like it doesn't matter where you go.
Yeah.
You can go. You can be in a hotel or at someone's house, which it doesn't matter. You do need some Wi-Fi, but they do have Starlink for that too.
Sure. We can always hotspot.
But between Starlink and this, you can be in the middle of the desert
or the ocean,
and you're and it's
still get your workout with me.
Yeah. So the portability, the fact that you can take this with you and you can do it every day, wherever you are, and have the results, and and now we're connected. We can talk to each other.
Yes, I love
once
that.
we figured that out. So
I love that. I love the availability to be able to connect in there, right?
Yeah.
And as I said, I don't get caught up in the devices or anything because it's about the space, right? It's about being present and in there and being able to high five you and give you a hug if I want to, and actually, and it's crazy how it works on our mind space, but it feels real. It feels really real, and that's partly how this all works as well. Is that it's so realism, and supernatural is very realism that you actually get placed into realism.
Yeah.
So you're not in a funky digital world. You're in a completely realism, which is pretty amazing too. And there's a lot of programs out there for starting to come out now with different fitness and different rhythm games and all that. What is your favorite one? I know supernatural is definitely one of your favorites, but there's a couple meditation apps too that I know that you like to use.
My other favorite app is Netflix.
Netflix.
Okay,
there we
well,
go.
But,
I don't know if that was on my coaching list. But.
Right. Well, the fact that you have everything
in
here,
there, it's pretty amazing.
Everything that you have on any flat screen is in here. Is it's pretty cool. Something needs to be said because that part is incredible.
Absolutely, watching a movie and when you're inside of it is a whole different thing than just watching your 2D screen. 1,000%, it's a whole different world.
But there's a app called Luminol.
Oh, Liminal, yeah,
which
Liminal.
is great.
It's great for meditation, and I put a lot of people into that one too. It's a really great. It's got lots of little segments in it, so you can almost kind of cue it up, kind of where you need in that moment.
I kind of like walking around Jurassic Park.
Oh, well, there you go.
With the dinosaurs because you're right there with them.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So I do a little bit of that. I'm not a big gamer, or anything like that. But I met someone recently who talked about Ram Dass, who was an early psychedelic dude, with Timothy Leary and all that.
Yeah.
And so I had the Trip app, and they just happened to have a special on him.
Oh, yeah.
So you could sit in his living room, and he was there, and then you could walk around a little bit, and a little conversation, and then sort of take off into
and this is into the Trip app,
his, what he believed in and stuff like that. So it's really
everything's really tied into, especially the meditation apps, really ties into a lot of the stuff we talk about at the Drake Center. I mean, because we're really talking about higher consciousness and really elevating that. I think of our butterfly signature, and our logo is always, it's a butterfly, right? So it represents transformation. And it seems people come to us for that reason, and they just want to change in their mindset or that. But it's Ram Dass and all of that. I mean, they're all in the same say frequency of living higher, mentally higher level of consciousness and being present. I know there's a lot in there also about being present in this and being mindful, right? And I love to talk about mindfulness all day. So.
Yeah. So there's really, and you mentioned one of the workouts called the PET the other day. So I tried that.
The pro zone.
Yeah.
I do have a video of that as well.
Yeah.
I made for my YouTube channel. So some of them are a little more trickier and a little harder. I always think of those harder pattern ones. I like to be challenged because I know it's for my mind, right? A lot of people get caught up in even, how we're even talking about more, it's about the body. But for me, it's always been about the mind. And we're reading patterns, right? We're reading patterns that are coming out of whatever portal is coming at us.
Right.
But the reality is we're reading patterns with our minds. And when those come at us, we're reading music, right? And as a musician and, all the things that we have, there's something that strikes us a little differently in there, and our bodies almost become the instrument.
Right.
And there's some rhythm games that I really like that would be considered more rhythm versus fitness apps. And those games are really where your body becomes the notes. And I just love those. The harder the patterns. And so like you were saying, the pit was more of the harder patterns, but moving your body at the same time. And there's a couple levels that are really harder in Supernatural, and actually probably much all the fitness games. There's different levels, of course. So beginners, you can always start with the beginner levels, of course. There's tutorials on all of these. But always, start slowly because your mind is reading the patterns, right? So it's almost like learning a new language, right? You're just learning it. So take your time with it, go slow, enjoy it. And that's kind of how I start everybody off. And then people like Chris here like to go crazy on it.
Yeah.
And then there's leaderboards.
Right.
And then
that's kind of fun.
Yeah. And I have to say, congratulations on your 1,000,000 points. I just saw that last night as we were working out together, which is
we don't pay a lot of attention.
We don't pay
to
a lot of
points.
attention. I actually talk to people about not paying attention to that.
Yeah. But with the
but there
one
are
and
some
all those
numbers
zeros,
that are pretty
I just
profound.
thought, yeah.
And 1,000,000 points in your headset from working out every day is something to celebrate.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to see that in the year before and after pictures, I'm sure.
Right. Well, so when we talk about, some of the more advanced or pros only and some of those things, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
And you can actually, it just turned itself on here. Well, better turn that off.
That's okay. Oh, it's okay.
But it's
calling you.
Yeah. It's time.
It's time to work out.
It knows.
And it's pretty neat how we get connected to our devices.
I know.
And it's really
something
cool.
else. So you have the ability to, sort of, take on a challenge that's, maybe too much because it can get very complicated. So you can always just do that and then revisit a few days later and, just improve on what you did before. You don't have to do all of it.
Right.
So you can take on an impossible challenge and just kind of get a little bit closer. So there's a lot of ways to do that. The other thing I really love doing is to go back. The beautiful thing is different than any other kind of work that you do or exercise or anything like that. It's all like kept in a file. In the headset. So every single one that you've ever done is there. So I like to go back a year ago or something and do one that I haven't done since then, a set of songs. So I'll do that set and it's amazing, how, it's so much easier.
So Chris, I have one last question for you. If somebody was curious about trying virtual reality fitness or even coming to me as a life coach, what could you tell them? If they're a little skeptical or a little nervous even, and what is this all about? I mean, it is pretty crazy. It is technology we are putting on our heads. So there is a lot of people that are like, what is this really? And I know it's fairly new out there still, but what if if somebody came to you, and I know you love to introduce it to people. So what are some of the things that you like to tell them if they're a little skeptical even trying it?
Well, that's easy. I would tell them to come and see you. Because that's really the way to do it is to have a proper, introduction and with someone that, knows not only that, but, other things that are related to the experience. So I seriously have, I've done that too. But I think it's a little bit of a volume thing, what I do.
Yeah.
I've kind of gotten into fitness. So I had a plumber come by and install a cold dip a couple nights ago.
You're really into all these different words right now. I just love it that you're really starting to explore.
Which is great. So as soon as he was done, I put the headset on him,
You're like,
and I had him do it. So I do that with a lot of people.
Okay.
And you've probably bought a lot of headsets or had people buy headsets.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many people you've done that? Well, I'm certainly one.
Yeah.
And then
I think I'm at a couple thousand at this point.
We really
people
should
into
start,
virtual reality.
like an Amway marketing scam or something, because you've turned me onto it, and I've turned at least 20 people onto it.
You have, and I know some of your family members are using it as well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
It's kind of fun.
So
you get a chance to stay in touch with everybody.
Yes. Like I said, it's part of that is the connection.
So that's. I mean, I think people should come and see you, obviously, but I think it's just put it on and do it. There's not a learning curve to it. You don't have to do it. It's not like other things where you have to build up a tolerance or get used to it or something like that. It just, the first probably 3 minutes should be working pretty good for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on today and sharing your story and sharing it with our viewers in the community. And I know you're within their community here. So I think it's incredible that you're able to do this and at your age, and it's super easy and easy to operate. And, we communicate pretty easy in it now. And like I said, I love that part of it is the connection.
Yeah.
So you and I will be working out probably later again today. And
I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you too, my friend. Well, that is it today, friends, for Immersive Wellness with Jacqueline. So thank you for joining us today. And I hope this conversation really reminds you that transformation really is possible, and that healing can come in unexpected places and unexpected ages as well. And until that next time that we meet, just stay curious, friends. Stay moving, and definitely keep exploring the mind and body connection. Thanks. Have a great day, guys.